Chapter 91 Revenge is nothing more than killing. Long Mishu returned to Long Baichuan's residence and told the monks, including Tianxin, what he knew. After hearing this, everyone frowned, feeling that this was a tricky situation. The three treasures are in three different places. The Crown Prince's residence is overseen by a peak-level saint. The Eternal Immortal Sect has several peak-level saints presiding over it. The Dragon Gate beyond the Great Wall is guarded by 7 peak saints. On their side, there were only a few people. Monk, you are at the peak of sainthood, aren't you? Tian Guangming asked. Monk Tianxin nodded. And what about you? Tian Guangming looked at Gabriel. I was almost there, Gabriel said, shaking his head. He has been integrating and improving rapidly, but he still hasn't broken through to the 5th level of the Great Sage, the Dao Sage realm. Gabriel is currently only at the 4th step of the Great Sage realm, the Earthly Sage realm. But I can kill a Great Sage at the 5th level, a Dao Saint. Gabriel said proudly. He possesses both celestial artifacts and a scepter, making it no problem for him to defeat enemies of higher ranks and challenge the realms of saints. Michael gritted his teeth. He had also merged with the original divine spark and inherited the battle angel. But now, his cultivation was only at the peak of the lesser saint, so he couldn't help. We have 2 here too, but that's not enough, Tian Guangming said with a sigh after carefully calculating. Long Mishu couldn't help but say, we can ask the master to send some more people. Then I'll communicate with the master. Monk Tianxin closed his eyes. At the Heaven and Earth Bank, Li Xiandao and Shao Qi watched the scene unfold. Master, we're a bit short-handed, Shao Qi said. Li Xiandao nodded and said, it's a little less, but it's not impossible. After connecting with Monk Tianxin, Li Xiandao gave the order. You guys deal with the first prince first and get the world coordinates. As for the Eternal Immortal Sect, you don't need to worry about it. The fallen angels will get the starry sky guiding map. Finally, you all meet up and go to the Dragon Gate beyond the Great Wall to get the Blade of Breaking Boundaries. Once I cross over, all problems will be easily solved, Li Xiandao instructed. Yes, sir. Monk Tianxin immediately agreed. Since Li Xiandao said so, then he would do it. Monk Tianxin relayed Li Xiandao's orders to everyone. Tian Guangming asked enviously, has Master found a successor to the fallen angel? That should be true. Gabriel nodded, looking somewhat dazed, as many pieces of information about fallen angels surfaced in his memory. The same goes for the battle angel Michael. Are fallen angels powerful? Tian Guangming asked cautiously. After all, fallen angels only inherited the original divine status, and they might not be as powerful as him. That way, he wouldn't be the weakest person under his master's command during the day. Tian Guangming still cares about this. A fallen angel at his peak can take on 6 opponents at once. Only the God King can suppress him, said the battle angel Michael. Although it's hard to admit, fallen angels are very powerful, second only to the God King among the gods. Even if the successor of the fallen angel is immortal, once the fusion occurs, you still can't defeat him, because the fallen angel's constitution is very special, and the person who can inherit it must be extremely suitable. Gabriel struck at Tian Guangming. So that means I'm going to become the weakest. Tian Guangming swallowed hard, his vision went black, and he felt utterly hopeless. White Emperor, I am still a little weaker than you, Wu Xianer comforted Tian Guangming. What's the use? Your talent is unparalleled. How long has it been? You've already reached the 5th level of the heavenly origin realm. I've been cultivating desperately, and I'm only slightly ahead of you. You're about to surpass me, Tian Guangming said with a mournful face. Actually, you can't beat Wu Xianer anymore. If you don't improve yourself, your master will gradually abandon you. Monk Tianxin expressed Tian Guangming's inner worries. You guys continue discussing. I have something to do and need to go out. Anyway, I'm too weak to be of much help, Tian Guangming said, standing up abruptly. Where are you going? Monk Tianxin asked. Go and become stronger. Tian Guangming said resolutely. He turned and left without stopping. He is the White Emperor, and he is determined to become the strongest under Xiandao. Forget it, let him go. He's not feeling good about it either. Gabriel stopped the monk Tianxin. All right, let's calculate how to get the world coordinates from the Crown Prince, said monk Tianxin. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao summoned Lucifer, the fallen angel he had just merged with. Greetings, Master. Lucifer was dressed in black and wore a mask like Xiandao, half black and half white, which concealed his youthful face. Why are you wearing a mask? Xiandao asked. Lucifer wants to become the sharpest sword in his master's hand, so naturally he has to be feared. His youthful face is an obstacle to me. Wearing the mask is also a way of saying goodbye to the past. From now on, there is only the fallen angel Lucifer, Lucifer replied. Not bad, very determined. How's the integration going? Xiandao nodded in satisfaction. Perfect. I am Lucifer now, Lucifer said confidently. The body of light and darkness, lacking talent, yet fused with the original divine essence of a fallen angel, is practically the perfect body to bear the invincible Lucifer. Very good, then you can go back to your sect now and help me get the starry sky guiding map. Xiandao said calmly. Lucifer asked in surprise, the Eternal Immortal Sect? His previous sect was the Eternal Immortal Sect. Yes, the starry sky guiding map is at the Eternal Immortal Sect. Go get it, take revenge while you're at it, then find Michael and Gabriel to meet up and begin the final step. Xiandao nodded. Lucifer obeys. Lucifer knelt on one knee and said firmly, Go. Xiandao waved his hand, and Lucifer's body turned into smoke and disappeared. After watching Lucifer disappear, Xiaoqi asked, Now that only Ursula the moon angel remains of the 4 archangels, who do you plan to give her to? Xiandao smiled and said, Give it to the one who is destined to receive it. Who is the one destined for us? Xiaoqi asked. That depends on fate. Xiandao reached out and touched Xiaoqi's delicate, snow-white forehead, then turned and left in less than a second. Xiaoqi narrowed her eyes, staring at Xiandao's back. On the battlefield between heaven and earth, Lucifer appeared where he had been lying. The wind and snow had covered his previous traces, but they could not cover his anger. With a cold gaze, Lucifer crouched down, sniffed lightly, and found the familiar scents of his master, senior sister, and senior brother. You have ruined my beautiful aspirations, Lucifer said calmly, then got up and left quickly. On a mountain peak, Lucifer saw his master, senior sister, and senior brother from 100 miles away. They chatted and laughed together, just like a family. Beside them were Lucifer's previous talents. The master was also smart. He didn't rush to integrate the techniques. Go to hell, Lucifer said softly, looking at them. He had no intention of questioning his master, his senior sister, or his senior brother. No matter how much you say, you can't escape death. That would be worse than just killing him. Lucifer reached out and squeezed, and the mountain peak 100 miles away collapsed instantly. Boom. It turned to dust in an instant. Below the realm of a saint at the peak, master, senior sister, and senior brother all died, leaving no trace of their bodies. Revenge is nothing more than killing, Lucifer murmured. Chapter 92 Overwhelming the Crown Prince. Ancient Wasteland. Shengjing. The first prince's residence is very conspicuous here. It is the most luxurious mansion in the city center. For the past few days, the Crown Prince has been secretly inquiring about Long Mishu's information, but unfortunately, very little useful information has been obtained. Your Highness, the men that Long Mishu brought have been staying at Long Baichuan's residence and haven't gone anywhere. We can't do anything about it, one of the prince's men protested. The eldest prince frowned and said, Long Baichuan and Long Mishu have long disliked each other. Now that the people Long Mishu brought have been able to stay in Long Baichuan's residence for so long, it seems that Long Mishu has won. That's right. According to our scouts, Long Baichuan has been in seclusion in his room and refuses to come out. Long Mishu is now in charge of Long Baichuan's residence. The subordinate nodded. I'm very interested in this. Long Baichuan has the support of the people of the Great Beauty Holy Land. How did Long Mishu escape and even control Long Baichuan? The first prince sneered. Just then, a servant ran up quickly and shouted, Your Highness, Princess Long Mishu has come to visit with her entourage. The eldest prince frowned and said, What are Long Mishu's intentions in visiting me at this time? Your Highness, regardless of their intentions, this is your territory. What's wrong with meeting them? The subordinate suggested. The eldest prince nodded and said, Take Long Mishu to the main hall. I will be there shortly. Outside the mansion, Long Mishu, Monk Tianxin, and Gabriel stood at the gate, each with a serious expression. Should we ask the Crown Prince for the world coordinates directly later? Long Mishu frowned and looked at Monk Tianxin. Yesterday, when everyone was discussing solutions, Monk Tianxin directly suggested asking the first prince for the world coordinates, which startled Long Mishu, who thought it was a joke. But who would have thought that today Monk Tianxin would take Long Mishu and the others to the first prince's residence? Why worry so much? Monk Tianxin said with a faint smile. There is a Dao saint in the first prince's residence. Long Mishu whispered. Me too, Monk Tianxin said calmly. I know you are him, but if you fight with him and things get out of hand, and my father finds out and we get involved, things will be difficult for us, Long Mishu said, frowning. This is the inner city of Shengjing, not an ordinary place. If two Dao saints were to fight here, it would really cause a huge mess. Monk Tianxin smiled confidently and said, Don't worry, we won't fight. Don't act rashly and disrupt the master's important affairs. The master will punish you then, Long Mishu warned Monk Tianxin. This direct demand for world coordinates is blatant disrespect to the Crown Prince. He was enraged and attacked, making a scene that became known throughout Shengjing. In the end, they were the ones who suffered. My father is extremely sexist, and if things get out of hand, I will be severely punished regardless of whether I am at fault, Long Mishu said worriedly. It won't cause much of a stir. Monk Tianxin smiled confidently. Just a Dao saint, how could he cause such a fuss? Gabriel sneered from the side. Long Mishu, today I will tell you a principle. Monk Tianxin said earnestly to Long Mishu. What's the reasoning? Long Mishu was taken aback. When you have immense power, remember this. Just crush them all. Don't care what others say, think, or do, because you are invincible. Monk Tianxin smiled slightly, his face full of confidence. Right now, we are invincible to the Crown Prince. He's just a Dao saint. We'll suppress him directly. If the Crown Prince dares to say anything, we'll cripple him on the spot. Once we get the world coordinates, everything else is trivial, Monk Tianxin said casually. Long Mishu blinked and stopped talking. It seems so. No matter how much trouble they cause now, as long as they build a world-class teleportation array, it won't be a big deal for Xiandao or the Heaven and Earth Bank. Squeak. The gate opened, and a servant came out. He said respectfully, Princess, His Highness is receiving you in the main hall. Long Mishu nodded coldly and arrogantly, and stepped inside without hesitation. Monk Tianxin and Gabriel followed behind, one on the left and one on the right. After Long Mishu entered the hall, the first prince also appeared. This is truly a rare guest. Although you have helped me before, you have never visited my residence. What brings you here now? The first prince asked with a smile. I wouldn't come here without a reason. Today, I've come to ask you, brother, to part with a precious item. Long Mishu got straight to the point, without beating around the bush. What treasure? The eldest prince frowned, surprised by the directness. World coordinates. Long Mishu's eyes lit up, shining brightly as he spoke. What do you need this for? The eldest prince asked, his brow furrowed. Brother, although we have different mothers, we share the same father and are related by blood. I am here today because I am determined to obtain the world coordinates. As for their effect, I cannot say. Long Mishu said. Is this how you ask for things? The eldest prince's face darkened, clearly displeased. Even if the world coordinates are useless to him, he will not give them to Long Mishu. Your Highness, you'd better go and get the world coordinates now, otherwise the old man in the underground palace beneath the mansion might not be able to protect you, Monk Tianxin said calmly. What did you say? The eldest prince glared furiously at Monk Tianxin, his eyes fierce. His underground palace was extremely well hidden, and the old man inside was even more secretive. His trump card, known to very few. How did the monk know that? The eldest prince's mind raced, and his eyes darkened. You still want to struggle? Monk Tianxin shook his head disdainfully and tapped the ground with his toes. Thump. An invisible force seeped in and spread into the underground palace, instantly finding the old man. Rumble. Inside the underground palace, the old man opened his eyes, a flash of golden light appeared, and he looked up in disbelief. Suddenly, he reached out and a protective shield appeared, blocking the attack from Monk Tianxin. But this hidden underground palace collapsed in an instant. On the ground, people only felt a few tremors. What have you done? The eldest prince had a bad feeling and angrily rebuked the monk Tixiangxin. Sit down. Monk Tianxin said calmly, his expression indifferent. Boom. A layer of energy began to spread outwards, forming a space where 10,000 Buddhas chanted. This is a domain. Although the eldest prince's cultivation was only at the lesser saint realm, his vision was very broad. He immediately recognized it and looked at Monk Tianxin in horror. This monk is actually at the Dao Saint realm. Only those at the Dao Saint level can comprehend this domain. Who dares to cause trouble in the Crown Prince's residence? At this moment, a loud shout came from deep underground, and then an old man rushed out angrily. It was the Daoist saint worshipped by the first prince. Help me! The eldest prince immediately roared, seeing hope and becoming excited. Sit down. Monk Tianxin said coldly. Inside the domain, the eldest prince plopped down, his body ramrod straight, unable to move, looking at Monk Tianxin with a frustrated expression. You bold monk, I will exterminate your entire clan. The eldest prince roared inwardly, seething with resentment. Chapter 93 World Coordinates Obtained. Release the Crown Prince, the old man in the dungeon said coldly. Your Highness, you should hand over the world coordinates to me. Only then will you be safe and sound, Monk Tianxin said calmly with a smile. You know I am the first prince. How dare you do this? The first prince was furious, his eyes blazing with anger. Long Mishu, this is Shengjing. I am the eldest prince, the eldest son of the emperor. Do you want to rebel? the eldest prince roared. An ordinary person might have been genuinely frightened. But Long Mishu simply sat upright in his seat, his expression calm, and said, "Don't put on airs like the crown prince. If I were really afraid of you, I wouldn't have come." "Have you lost your mind?" The eldest prince glared at Long Mishu. "Father doesn't like you daughters. You've always been clever and hidden your talents, so I didn't hold it against you. After all, you've helped me a few times. But this time you've gone too far." Long Mishu clenched her fists, biting her red lips until they bled. She sneered. "Heh, yes, father doesn't like us daughters, he only likes you sons, just because you have something between your legs? I'm a daughter, am I born to be bullied by you? You are the eldest prince, but in my eyes, you are trash. You have a huge amount of resources, yet you have only just broken through to the Saint Realm. My resources are only 1/10,000th of yours, and I have also touched the threshold of the Saint Realm. If I had those resources, I would have been a great saint long ago. Let me tell you, your resources, your connections, your schemes are all terribly fragile in my eyes, yet you are complacent because everything you have comes from your father's gifts. If your father doesn't reward you, you're doomed. You've never thought about becoming independent, developing your own power, or winning over the clan and royal relatives. You're utterly foolish. Your Highness, you must produce the world coordinates today, no matter what. Otherwise, I will personally castrate you. I think there has never been a case of a eunuch becoming emperor in the Wanlong Empire from ancient times to the present, right?" Long Mishu sneered at the first prince, especially his crotch. The eldest prince's face changed drastically, and he cursed wildly. "You crazy woman, you actually wanted to castrate me, you deserve to die. Lord Yong, save me quickly, kill them all." Long Mishu just sneered, staring intently at the eldest prince, making the prince almost develop a psychological trauma, and his groin began to ache involuntarily. Lord Yong had been watching coldly, and upon hearing Long Mishu's words, he sneered, "Outrageous and immoral. It's a disgrace to the royal family to have a woman like you." Long Mishu's eyes turned cold. Gabriel, however, was faster, taking a step forward and grabbing at the air with his left hand. Clang! A flash of cold light, a sword's cry, a wisp of sword light. Divine sword technique. If you utter another word, I'll make you die a violent death on the spot today. Gabriel said coldly. Lord Yong sneered. "You're only at the 4th level of the Great Sage realm, yet you dare to act so arrogantly in front of me?" Without hesitation, Lord Yong waved his sleeve, unleashing a surge of true energy that transformed into a giant python. It opened its blood-red maw and devoured Gabriel's sword energy. "Go to hell!" Lord Yong sneered, unleashing the martial arts technique he had cultivated throughout his life. Serpent Spirit Technique. This move is incredibly powerful. It's from a snake spirit he's nurtured for half his life. It can devour dragons and sparrows, so a few sword energies are no match for it. But he forgot that Gabriel was holding no ordinary weapon. It is a celestial artifact. The sword light emitted by the immortal artifact was devoured by the serpent spirit, which immediately went berserk. "You're asking for death." Gabriel sneered at the sight, a thought flashing through his mind. Clang, clang, clang. These sword energies began to rampage inside the snake spirit's belly, driving it mad. Its tail lashed out, smashing many things in the hall. Domain. Lord Yang's face was extremely ugly. Seeing that a snake spirit couldn't handle Gabriel, he immediately took out the symbol of the Tao Saint. Field. Serpent Spirit Domain. In an instant, within a few meters of Lord Yong, hundreds of venomous snakes emerged, each one fierce and vicious, containing potent poison. Gabriel understood what was happening, but he wasn't afraid. With the immortal sword in hand, his eyes were sharp, and his target was Lord Yong. The Tao Saint's domain cannot withstand the sharpness of the immortal sword. "Today I will kill you right here," Gabriel said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, his body flickered and appeared out of thin air in the domain, raising his sword and bringing it down. A cold glint flashed, sharp enough to cut through human skin, and landed within the domain. Lord Yang's pupils contracted, and he quickly retreated. He realized that the power of this immortal sword was simply terrifying. The power of a celestial artifact is terrifying. Rumble. The serpent spirit domain was directly severed, split in two, and the hundreds of venomous snakes immediately screamed and roared in agony, withering away in extreme resentment. The serpent spirits rely on a domain. Without the domain, they cannot survive. You actually possess a celestial artifact? Lord Yong looked at Gabriel with a mixture of shock and anger. I told you, I will kill you today. Gabriel didn't waste any words and immediately drew his sword and charged. His strength was already considerable, and with the addition of a celestial weapon, a mere graze would cause injury, and a stab would result in death. Lord Yong dared not approach, retreating and avoiding the area, watching with shock and anger, before finally running away without looking back. You've got your revenge today, but we'll see what happens in the future. Lord Yong roared, his voice sharp but his words weak. Gabriel didn't give chase. He stood there with his sword drawn, watching with disdain. You coward. If you really fight me, do you think I'll continue to fight you? Gabriel said disdainfully. This is the inner city of Shangjing. If they fight here, it won't be long before all the experts from Shangjing swarm in, and they will surely die. Unfortunately, Lord Yong was frightened by Gabriel's ferocity and turned to run away without a trace. The eldest prince was stunned by what he saw. He spends a huge sum of money every year to supply the Taoist saint. His trump card, which he thought was incredibly powerful. His hope of salvation. They've run away. Long Mishu smiled happily, a genuine smile from the bottom of his heart. Ha 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 ha, this is truly an eye-opener. Dao Sheng has fled in such a way, losing all face. First Prince, what do you have to say for yourself now? The eldest prince's face was terribly grim, and he growled, Let me go, I'm going to get the world coordinates. The monk Tianxin smiled gently and released the restriction. The eldest prince walked into his private room expressionlessly, and then came out holding something as clear and translucent as jade. It is square, like a stone, but pure white, like jade, containing a lot of energy, but unfortunately it cannot be absorbed. Here you go, the eldest prince said angrily, putting down the world coordinates. Okay, I mean what I say, let's go. After finishing the inspection, Long Mishu decisively made his escape. If this drags on, it will be very troublesome if Lord Yong returns with reinforcements. Let's go. Monk Tianxin stopped pretending and disappeared quickly with Gabriel. All that remained was a scene of utter devastation, and the eldest prince, his face grim and filled with extreme rage. Chapter 94 The Eternal Immortal Sect. The Eternal Immortal Sect is one of the 10 righteous sects of the desolate ancient land. The Eternal Immortal Sect has a long and rich history, living up to its name. It has tens of thousands of disciples, making the competition fierce, and it boasts many geniuses. Lucifer, now known as Whitehaven, was once a member of this community. Although he only stayed here for a year, Bai Tiantong's feelings for the Eternal Immortal Sect were complicated. This place offered him a warm welcome, although it was later proven that this warmth was an illusion. But warmth is still warmth. Now Whitehaven has become Lucifer, and stepping into this place, all you see are familiar landscapes. A hint of melancholy flickered in Lucifer's cold eyes. All of the boy's beautiful dreams were completely destroyed by his master's betrayal. From then on, Lucifer had no connection with the Eternal Immortal Sect. With his Tao Saint realm cultivation, Lucifer could easily infiltrate the Eternal Immortal Sect. After all, he was very familiar with the Eternal Immortal Sect and knew which path to take to save time and avoid being discovered. In the morning, the disciples of the Eternal Immortal Sect, full of vigor, began to gather the morning glow, absorb the sunlight, and bathe in the essence of heaven and earth to begin their cultivation. Lucifer avoided large crowds and traveled through the mountains. The starry sky guiding map has no other function besides indicating direction, so it is not valued in the Eternal Immortal Sect. Lucifer cautiously crept forward and finally arrived at the treasure vault of the Eternal Immortal Sect. The treasury was magnificent, a grand hall built atop a mountain. This mountain peak is the core of the entire Eternal Immortal Sect, because no matter where you are in the Eternal Immortal Sect, you can look up and see this mountain peak and this treasure trove. Therefore, the people of the Eternal Immortal Sect felt at ease putting the treasure inside. The door to the treasure vault is guarded by two great sages. Unfortunately, they were only at the initial stage of the Great Sage realm. They were unparalleled masters to ordinary people, but to Lucifer, they were insignificant. As Lucifer approached, his aura surged, pressing down and stunning the two great saints at the first level. The power of the Tao Saint is evident. Squeak. Lucifer pushed open the heavy door and was greeted by endless treasures. This great hall was like a vast city, containing countless treasures. Each treasure exudes its own aura, shrouded in a misty, precious energy. There are arrays sealing off everything here, and every treasure is well sealed. If someone comes in and takes away the treasure, the sect must provide a way to unlock the seal. Therefore, the Eternal Immortal Sect felt very comfortable leaving all its treasures here. Lucifer frowned as he saw the array formations. He couldn't take the treasures without touching them. After all, he wasn't a professional in array formations. But once I have the starry sky map, no one can stop me. Lucifer looked around, slowly searching for the starry sky map. After searching for a while, I finally found this star map in an inconspicuous corner. Lucifer carefully checked and, upon discovering it was true, immediately stood up and reached out to grab it. Click. The formation was forcibly destroyed, and Lucifer took the starry sky guiding map. Rumble. But suddenly, the main hall began to rage, shaking and making a huge sound that echoed among the mountains. In that instant, countless disciples, elders, sect leader, and reclusive elders of the Eternal Immortal Sect all looked toward the central mountain peak. On the mountaintop stands a palace, and right now, an alarm is sounding. How dare you sneak into my Eternal Immortal Sect? You little thief, how dare you set your sights on my Eternal Immortal Sect? You're courting death. No one has dared to be this bold in years. Men, seal off the surrounding area. We can't let this thief escape, the sect leader of the Eternal Immortal Sect said coldly. Rumble. In that instant, the entire Eternal Immortal Sect sounded the alarm, and countless elders rushed to the treasure vault. Lucifer frowned in the hall, placed the starry sky guiding map inside his body, and then his aura surged. 12 pairs of enormous wings sprouted from its back, and it soared into the sky. Boom. Lucifer burst out of the main hall, carrying billowing black mist, and instantly sent the first group of elders and disciples who rushed up flying. The thief is in the sky, kill him! An elder roared. Take this sword. A junior saint elder wielding a sword made his move, his long sword sharp and its light piercing the sun. Lucifer swept his cold gaze across the room, drew his most powerful magical weapon, a terrifying and enormous demonic blade, and slashed it fiercely. Get out! Lucifer's cold voice echoed throughout every corner of the Eternal Immortal Sect. Rumble. The terrifying power of the demonic blade sent more than a dozen minor saints flying in an instant. Each of them coughed up blood, their bodies racked with pain, and they stared at Lucifer in horror. Lucifer was showing mercy, considering that the Eternal Immortal Sect had taken him in for a period of time in the past, and refrained from a massacre. Boom. After Lucifer knocked them away, he didn't stop. His 12 pairs of wings flapped and he flew at great speed. Even Dao saints couldn't catch him. "Activate the mountain protecting formation," roared the sect leader of the Eternal Immortal Sect, unwilling to let Lucifer leave. "Die!" A murderous intent flashed in Lucifer's eyes, and then he fiercely slashed through the sky with his sword, the black and white colors mixed together, extremely ferocious. Puff. The sect leader, who was only at the lesser saint level, had his head immediately severed and died on the spot. Lucifer didn't look back. His wings flapped, and the wind carried him away as he disappeared into the blue clouds. Inside the Eternal Immortal Sect, the Tao saint who had just awakened from seclusion witnessed this scene and was so enraged that he roared, "If we get to him, the Eternal Immortal Sect will fight him to the death." This is not only the disgrace of having a treasure stolen, but also the humiliation of having a sect leader killed. If the Eternal Immortal Sect does nothing under the watchful eyes of everyone, then they will have lost all face and dignity. Lucifer, who had escaped from the Eternal Immortal Sect, stopped 100 miles away, looked in the direction, and communicated with Xiandao. "Master, we have obtained the starry sky map. Where should I go next?" Lucifer asked. "Is this Shangjing?" Lucifer wasn't sure if the battle angels Michael and the others were still in Shangjing, so he asked. "Inside the heaven and earth bank." Li Xiandao and Shao Qi watched silently, and Li Xiandao said, "If you go to the Dragon Gate beyond the Great Wall now, they will also go to the Dragon Gate beyond the Great Wall. They will meet there and collect all the blades of the boundary breaking." Lucifer said, "Yes, sir. I will go to Long Men beyond the Great Wall right now." Li Xiandao nodded in satisfaction and said, "Don't worry about anything else. As long as I get my hands on the boundary-breaking blade, I can cross realms. At that time, all troubles will no longer be troubles." Lucifer nodded and said, "I will obtain the blade of boundary break for my master." The call ended, and Lucifer flapped his wings, disappearing into the horizon like a shooting star. Shangjing. Li Xiandao followed suit and notified Monk Tianxin. He then took the world coordinates and a bunch of materials to Long Men in the northern frontier to obtain the last item, the blade of the boundary breaker. "Yes, master," Monk Tianxin said silently, his hands clasped together. Chapter 95 Battle at Dragon Gate. A desolate, ancient land beyond the Great Wall. The area beyond the Great Wall is divided into many places, including the NATO Kingdom, the 18 Gates of Demonic Cultivation, and the Dragon Gate. Long Men is in the north, in the far north. Legend has it that more than a dozen real dragons once soared into the sky in this place called Long Men, which shocked everyone and is why it was named Long Men. After forcibly taking the world coordinates from the Crown Prince, Long Mishu, Monk Tianxin, and the others did not linger and immediately headed straight here. The vast expanse of black soil is barren and sparsely populated, even more desolate than the grasslands. This is a normal scene in northern China. 1,000 miles of desert, 10,000 miles of snowless land. This is the charm of the northern border region. When Monk Tianxin and his group arrived, they looked around and determined their location. "Where is the Dragon Gate?" Gabriel asked Long Mishu. Long Mishu took out the information he had obtained from Sister Min and said, "In the northern Dragon Gate, there is a magnificent and dazzling grotto area. The people who live here are a group called the Gaoshan people. They believe in the mountain gods and have developed their own culture and civilization. They were once brilliant. Although they have declined somewhat now, there are still many people who have reached the level of great sage." "Where?" Monk Tianxin asked, looking around. "Going further north, you'll see those huge stone caves. The Gaoshan tribe lives in those caves, and the 7 demonic blades are also in their hands," Long Mishu said. "Then let's continue deeper. I wonder if the fallen angels have arrived yet." Gabriel asked worriedly. Without fallen angels, they only have 2 great saints at their peak combat strength, making them difficult to deal with. "Don't worry, I believe the fallen angel will definitely come." Monk Tianxin smiled confidently, without any concern. "This is a major matter for the master. Even if the White Emperor Tian Guangming is nowhere to be found, whether he is here or not is irrelevant. If the fallen angel dares to delay, the master will be angry, and he himself will be the one to suffer, Michael said. He did not believe that the fallen angel Lucifer would delay and not arrive here. There's no point in saying more. We should hurry to Long Men and meet up with the fallen angels. After all, the journey hasn't been peaceful, and many people are watching us, Monk Tianxin said meaningfully. Long Mishu said with a gloomy face, "It's the Crown Prince's people, and those forces that support the Crown Prince. They're all tracking us, like ghosts that won't leave us." That's normal. You humiliated the Crown Prince so badly, how could he not retaliate? Michael said calmly. These people are not a threat for now. We still need to obtain the 7 demonic blades. As soon as Monk Tianxin finished speaking, he took a step forward and appeared 100 miles away. The others also used their skills to rush towards the Dragon Gate. Shengjing. Taking advantage of Long Mishu and the others leaving, the eldest prince rescued Long Baichuan. Long Baichuan had long hated Long Mishu and Monk Tianxin to the core, and without hesitation chose to cooperate with the eldest prince, telling him everything he knew. Upon receiving the intelligence, the eldest prince's face contorted with rage, his eyes turning bloodshot as he roared. They want to go to Long Men in the north? They're dreaming. I want them dead in the north. Notify the 3 major powers to surround and annihilate Long Mishu and her men. I will personally lead the operation. This time, I will kill Long Mishu with my own hands. The 3 sects that support the Crown Prince all have members at the Dao Saint realm, making them top figures in their respective sections. This time, due to the Crown Prince's anger, they have all mobilized. I also had the people from the Great Beauty Holy Land take action, and all their assassins were killed. This revenge must be taken. Long Baichuan gritted his teeth, his hatred reaching his very bones. This time I'm going to organize 10 Dao Saints. I refuse to believe that 10 people can't suppress the 2 of you. The first prince slapped his hand angrily, his eyes fixed on the northern frontier. Long Mishu and her men must die. Their trip to the northern region is definitely suspicious. They've been whispering behind my back, and they even stole my brother's world coordinates. They're probably planning to build a world-class teleportation array. Long Baichuan wasn't stupid anymore. He had endured humiliation and hardship in the manor for some time now. He didn't resort to any underhanded tactics. He was just gathering information, and he actually guessed it. A world-class teleportation array. The first prince frowned, then snorted coldly. No matter what, we must take action this time. I will send out a message immediately that the Kaiyuan demonic sect's actions within the Great Xia dynasty were done by Long Mishu and her subordinates. I want the demonic sect to deal with them as well. This method works. After all, the Kaiyuan demonic sect is one of the 18 demonic sections. The other demonic sects will definitely avenge them, and the Great Xia dynasty will not let Long Mishu off the hook either. Long Baichuan clapped his hands, becoming excited. With so many enemies, let's see if Long Mishu survives this time. How dare you imprison me? How dare you humiliate me? So what if you're my own sister? I'll make you pay. Long Baichuan cursed inwardly. He wants to uphold righteousness and eliminate kinship. At the Eternal Immortal Sect, several elders sat together with angry expressions. We just received news that the masked black-clad thief with 12 pairs of wings went to the northern frontier and appeared near Long Men, an elder said, suppressing his anger. Even if he is a Dao Saint, he still deserves to die for killing the leader of my Eternal Immortal Sect. We old folks haven't done anything for a long time, so this time we'll personally take action against him. An old man with a flushed face and a fiery temper roared. That's right. With the 7 elders of our Eternal Immortal Sect mobilized, a mere Dao Saint is doomed. Whether he has helpers or not, he is doomed to die. It would be even better if they had helpers. Kill them all, so they'll know that the Eternal Immortal Sect is not to be trifled with. The elders were all indignant. To have their sect broken into, their treasures stolen, and their sect leader killed was an utter disgrace. This humiliation must be avenged. Blood debts must be repaid with blood. The 7 elders of the eternal immortal sect rose, each transforming into a stream of light and disappearing from the main hall. Beyond the Great Wall, the Great Xia dynasty. A white-haired man from the Great Xia royal family, carrying the dragon sparrow blade on his back, gazed into the direction of Dragon Gate. Our Great Xia dynasty does not seek external expansion, but no one should try to run wild here. Kaiyuan demonic sect is a sect within our Great Xia dynasty. It submits to our Great Xia dynasty and pays tribute every year without fail. Such a good sect deserves our support, the white-haired man said in a deep voice. Thank you so much for your decision, sir. The leader of the Kaiyuan demonic sect was moved to tears. I will go to Long Men now and use the Great Xia dragon sparrow to cut off their head and avenge your Kaiyuan demonic sect. As soon as the white-haired man finished speaking, his body streaked across the sky like a meteor and disappeared. The leaders of the 18 demonic sects, including the primal demonic sect, also knew about this matter. The 18 sects share the same origin and support each other. This was the slogan of the primordial demon sect. This time, when the Kaiyuan demon sect encountered a great calamity, the primordial demon sect also sent 3 elders out of the mountains to take charge for the Kaiyuan demon sect. A storm is coming, and the mountains will be full of buildings. The rain has stopped, time to fight at Dragon Gate. Chapter 96 Split Up. Dragon Gate. In this region, the most famous thing is that legend. More than a dozen true dragons lay buried deep underground, sleeping for millions of years. When they awoke, the earth shook and the mountains trembled as they flew straight to the celestial realm. Long Mishu said, I don't know when this legend started, but all the children in the eternal land have heard of it. It has been passed down from generation to generation. Although Long Men is located in a remote area, it has always been remembered by everyone because of this legend. Is this rumor true? Wu Xianer asked curiously. I don't know. Someone once tried to verify the truth of this rumor and spent 10 years digging a pit in Long Men. They even seemed to have dug up magma, but still couldn't see the dragon. This added a layer of falsehood to the rumor. Long Mishu shook his head and said, Look, there are so many caves ahead. Michael's eyes lit up in surprise. After crossing a high mountain, you are greeted by a series of huge and magnificent grottos. Between heaven and earth, grottos dominate the landscape, countless grottos displaying their splendor under the blazing sun. There is a mountain wall carved with hundreds of Buddhas, some with kind and benevolent faces, some with fierce and wrathful expressions, and some with an air of arrogance. Opposite the hundreds of Buddha statues, demons from hell danced wildly. Some women were bare-breasted, their expressions wanton. Some demons ripped open their own bellies, tearing out their hearts, blood gushing forth. The contrast between the hellish demons and the Buddha statue was visually striking, making Michael's breathing quicken. This is just a small part. Throughout the Long Men area, there are thousands, even tens of thousands of statues. The exact number is unknown, but as far as the eye can see, it is a sea of grotto statues. The mountains have been sculpted into countless different shapes. There are monsters, divine beasts, humans, demons, ancient gods, and spirits of the earth. Long Mishu exclaimed, This is another great wonder of Long Men, the Long Men grottos. It's truly awe-inspiring. This must have been created by mortals over hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of years, through continuous sculpting, generation after generation, Gabriel nodded. The world is truly beautiful, commented the monk Tianxin. Did the Gaoshan people manage to do all this? Wu Xianer asked. Long Mishu nodded and said, The Gaoshan tribe is divided into more than a dozen branches, which do not interfere with each other, and some branches are even hostile to each other. For example, the statues of Buddha and the demons of hell must have been done by 2 Gaoshan tribe branches that are at odds with each other. You sculpt Buddha, I carve demons. Although the Gaoshan tribe is now very restrained and not fighting amongst themselves, these invisible struggles are still continuing, Long Mishu explained in detail. Before coming, she went to Sister Min to catch up on her knowledge of the Gaoshan people. Where are the Gao Shan people? Wu Xian'er looked left and right, but couldn't find them. In the grottos, some are as high as mountains, and some are as low as hills. The mountain tribes built houses and began to multiply and farm there. Long Mishu pointed and saw some houses of the mountain tribes in the corner. Where are the 7 demonic blades that the blade of the boundary split from? Michael asked. If we continue to delve deeper into the hands of the 7 major branches of the Gao Shan tribe, we can see it, Long Mishu immediately said. But I think we should wait for the fallen angel, after all, he is also a powerful force. Long Mishu added, still worried, as each branch of the Gao Shan tribe has at least several Dao saints. No need to wait, he's already here. Michael smiled and turned to look into the distance. Long Mishu and Wu Xian'er immediately looked behind them. Gabriel and monk Tianxin both smiled, ready to welcome their new companion, looking on expectantly. Angels also have a connection, so it's not surprising that Michael knew Lucifer was coming. The monk Tianxin was at the Dao Saint realm, unfathomable, and naturally he could sense Lucifer's arrival. Only Wu Xian'er and Long Mishu, whose strength was too low, could not sense it. A thick black fog streaked across the distant horizon and landed beside them in the blink of an eye. Long Mishu and Wu Xian'er were both frightened. Taking a few steps back, he saw that Michael, Gabriel, and the monk Tianxin were all standing still, watching silently. Boom! The black mist dissipated, revealing Lucifer, a tall and imposing figure wearing an extremely sinister black and white mask. Lucifer, the fallen angel, greets you all. Lucifer said in a deep voice, his once youthful voice now tinged with a sense of vicissitude. Battle Angel Michael greets Lord Lucifer. Michael placed a fist on his chest to show his respect. Archangel Gabriel greets Lord Lucifer. Gabriel echoed this sentiment, expressing his respect. Lucifer was once an archangel second only to the god king among the gods, and the chief judge of the gods. Later, he voluntarily gave up his divine position and chose to fall, falling from the gods into the endless darkness of hell. He struggled and struggled, merging the characteristics of hell and heaven, and became a top figure in hell, the fallen angel Lucifer. Therefore, there is absolutely no problem for Gabriel and Michael to express their respect now. Lucifer nodded to them, then looked at monk Tianxin and said, "Greetings, holy monk Tianxin. I've long heard of the fallen angel Lucifer. With you by my side this time, things will surely go much more smoothly," monk Tianxin said with a smile. He had to keep a smile on his face. He was the only Dao saint here. Although Gabriel could fight against a Dao saint, that was only in terms of strength. He didn't actually possess the Dao saint's domain. Now that there's an additional fallen angel Lucifer, the burden on monk Tianxin's shoulders is much lighter. "This time, Master has put you in command, and I will obey you," Lucifer said. His face, hidden behind the mask, remained expressionless. "Let's discuss this together, or should we have Long Mishu introduce which item we should take first?" Monk Tianxin asked. Long Mishu's eyes lit up, and he said, "We should definitely take the blood-melting blade first. In my information, the branch where the blood-melting blade is located only has one Dao saint. The number of people is small, but their individual strength is very strong. It's conceivable that a single Dao saint could withstand the blood-melting blade. That must be incredibly powerful," monk Tianxin nodded. "We can go together, there are 3 of us," Long Mishu suggested. Monk Tianxin shook his head and said, "Don't go together. I'll go. It's just one Dao saint. I'll go get the blood-melting blade. You guys go get the others. I have a feeling that a great calamity is about to befall us. We must hurry and build the world-class teleportation array." Monk Tianxin raised his head and looked at the sky, which was now covered by dark clouds, and said solemnly, "When I arrived, I was noticed, and it seems that the eternal immortal sect was notified," Lucifer said. "Hurry up, Long Mishu, you take them to the next place. I'll go get the blood-melting blade. Once everyone has it, we'll meet up immediately. After all, it will take some time to build the teleportation array," monk Tianxin said decisively. Long Mishu took a deep breath. Chapter 97 The Collapse of Faith. Long Men Grottos. A solitary mountain, entirely sculpted into the shape of a crippled old man holding a tattered banner, looking quite inconspicuous. It is incomparable to the countless exquisite, grand, and magnificent grottos around it. Monk Tianxin arrived here. The Gaoshan people have more than a dozen branches, one of which lives and multiplies here. The population is sparse, numbering only a few hundred, and they thrive here. This branch is called Yunfan. The Yunfan people also follow the Gaoshan tribe, but they are fundamentally very different from other Gaoshan tribes. They are not very secular, and the mountain god they worship has remained steadfast in his rigid rules from the beginning until now, without changing in the slightest. This is also why their numbers have decreased. They isolate themselves, avoid contact with outsiders, and regard others as heretics, which distinguishes them from other secular branches that have begun to downplay the influence of the mountain god. Therefore, they will gradually disappear into the long river of history. Long Mishu led everyone to other places, leaving only monk Tianxin here alone. On the lonely mountain, at the head of the old man, there is a temple dedicated to the mountain god, the belief of the Gaoshan people. When the monk Tianxin arrived here, he made no attempt to conceal his aura of Taoist sainthood. Boom! The aura of the Tao saint frightened this group of mountain tribesmen, causing them to tremble and retreat in fear. Tianxin never considered taking action. With only a few hundred people, he could kill them all with a single slap. But he was not a monk who killed indiscriminately. Heretic, what are you doing in my high mountain clan's territory? A cold rebuke came from an old man in the temple. The old man, his face shrouded in a black robe, with only his eyes visible, knelt on the ground, offering sacrifices to a mountain god day and night. Monk Tianxin took a step forward, ignoring the ordinary mountain people, and arrived at the temple gate. "Stop!" A sharp shout rang out, and the old man glared angrily. "You are a heretic, you cannot enter the temple of my high mountain god, get out of here!" the old man roared. Monk Tianxin asked in surprise, "I do not worship your mountain gods, so I am a heretic." Of course, the mountain god is supreme and unique in the universe. If you don't believe in him, you are a heretic, the old man said coldly. He didn't make a move, partly out of caution regarding the Taoist saint realm of monk Tianxin. There are countless gods in the world, and even the Buddha I worship has not forced anyone to believe in him, monk Tianxin said, frowning. This mountain god is too domineering. Or rather, this doctrine is too domineering. This is the difference between me, the high mountain god, and other false gods. The high mountain god is supreme, unique in the universe, and naturally the only true god. Those who do not believe are heretics, the old man said fanatically. Monk Tianxin sneered. "Do you believe I can smash you, this mountain god, to pieces and destroy this temple right now? How dare you!" The old man burst like a balloon, his eyes wide with rage. "You'll see if I dare." Monk Tianxin sneered, took a step forward, and his domain appeared around him. The chanting of epic scriptures by 10,000 Buddhas, layered together, was extremely mysterious, and the sound was so loud that it drowned out all other sounds inside the temple of the mountain god. The Buddha's radiance shone in the temple of the mountain god. This infuriated the old man, who hated monk Tianxin to the core. Without even asking what the monk had come for, he immediately attacked. Boom! A similar realm emerged, within which appeared an invincible mountain god, wielding a magical weapon, incredibly powerful, reaching out to strike, intending to kill the monk Tianxin. "My Buddha was merely chanting scriptures, but your deity raised his hand to kill me, which seems even more excessive than the demons of hell," monk Tianxin said coldly. "The way to deal with heretics is to kill them. Killing a heretic, is spreading the faith of the high mountain god," the old man said fanatically. He no longer concealed his intention to kill monk Tianxin. At that moment, monk Tianxin understood why this tribe of Gaoshan people had declined to such an extent. Anyone who doesn't believe in the mountain god is a heretic. Heretics need to be judged and expelled. It would be a miracle if they grew stronger. Boom! Within the realm, the mountain god wielded a magical artifact, a gigantic banner. With each wave, a sinister aura filled the air, creating an extremely terrifying scene. Countless skulls, fierce and malevolent, were contained within, intent on devouring the monk Qianxin to strengthen themselves. Is this the mountain god? This is the deity worshipped by the entire Gaoshan people? Indeed, deities can only serve as guides, and cannot be worshipped as one's entire faith, otherwise it is easy to lose oneself, monk Qianxin sighed inwardly. He was a monk, and was respectfully addressed as Buddha, but that was out of respect, not out of fanatical faith. Even if he had a fervent faith, he would not have fallen into darkness and violated the precepts of Buddhism. Qianxin is a monk who respects his own inner self. So when he saw this mountain god, he felt uncomfortable all over. Such a demonic deity should not exist. Wrathful Vajra. Monk Qianxin suddenly became extremely angry, his whole body radiating golden light. He unleashed a Buddhist ultimate technique, his body possessing boundless and indestructible power, and struck directly with an iron mountain lean. Thump. Thousands of skulls shattered instantly, turning into dust. The black mist was dispersed, the magical banner was knocked away, and even the mountain god was scattered by the impact. The full power of the monk Qianxin is truly terrifying. With a single blow, the mountain god was utterly defeated. With a second strike, he stomped his foot on the ground, causing a sudden tremor that shook the entire high mountain clan temple, including the old man's domain, making it unstable. Click, click, click. The territory was cracking apart, leaving no chance to fight against monk Qianxin. The old man's expression changed drastically, and his faith seemed to crumble. How could his mountain god, the invincible mountain god, be so fragile? In the past, when facing other Dao saints, he could hold his own against 2 or 3 opponents and preserve this branch of the Dao. But now, facing monk Qianxin, it couldn't even withstand a single blow. With just a gentle bump, it collapsed completely. My collision just now carried the wrath of the 18 Arhats. Although Buddha often smiles with a flower in hand, he also has moments of fierce anger. With the 18 Arhats empowering me, you are no match for him. Monk Qianxin surrounded the old man with his domain. Lambs waiting to be slaughtered. You destroyed my high mountain god temple, the old man exclaimed in panic. His domain was torn apart by monk Qianxin, and he himself fell into monk Qianxin's domain, making him no match for him at all. If a fight breaks out, he'll definitely die. Most importantly, the temple of the mountain god was destroyed. Give me the blood-dissolving blade. Monk Qianxin raised his hand and said coldly. The surrounding area was in complete disarray. The temple was destroyed, and the statue of the mountain god was shattered by the aura of the monk Qianxin. Everything was reduced to ruins. At this moment, the old man appeared decades older, and an aura of death emanated from him. His faith has crumbled. The deity that a person has believed in all his life was pulled down from the altar at this moment, losing all face and the halo of the god. Even the old man, a Taoist saint, could not hold on to his Taoist heart. Suddenly, the monk Qianxin didn't want to kill him anymore. He was a pitiful man who had placed his faith in others. Without the mountain god, his life had no purpose. Chapter 98 Lamo. After obtaining the blood-melting blade, monk Qianxin turned and left. The old man was left alone, silently gazing at the ruins of the temple, feeling utterly lost. Finally, hundreds of miles away, monk Qianxin looked back once more. The old man was quietly rebuilding the temple, brick by brick, and carving the statues stroke by stroke. He still chose to continue his faith in the mountain god. Because the old man realized that if he didn't believe in the mountain god, what would he do? He spent his entire life in the temple, serving the mountain god. He possessed unparalleled cultivation, yet he never went out to fight for supremacy, nor did he think about improving the lives of his people. From beginning to end, he simply enjoyed spending his time quietly in front of the statue of the mountain god. Just like 1,000 years ago, his parents took him, as a child, into the temple of the mountain god. That time, he saw the mountain god with his incense burning brightly. The boy was immediately shocked and entered the temple of the high mountain god. Starting as a minor priest, he gradually rose to the Dao Saint realm and became the ruler of the temple. But as time went on, the number of people in the temple dwindled significantly. Now he is the only one serving the mountain god. Perhaps it would be a romantic thing for me to perish alongside the mountain god. At this moment, the old man had the idea of abolishing this branch of the lineage. He released his people, preventing them from accompanying him and the mountain god to their demise. The last tribe of the Gaoshan people who worshipped and revered the mountain god are also about to disappear. Other branches have long since abandoned ancient rules and begun to embrace secularization, as can be seen from the large number of grotto statues. For every Buddha statue sculpted, there is a demon king. For every civilization spread, there is destruction. Monk Tianxin didn't think too much about it. After obtaining the blood-melting blade, he immediately headed towards the distance to meet up with Long Mishu and the others. 1/7 of the blade of the boundary has been obtained. All that remains is to acquire the remaining 6. Within a branch of the Gaoshan people lies a vast ancient city, home to hundreds of thousands of people. The fallen angel Lucifer was tall and soared through the sky, his imposing presence undisguised. His black and white forms were intertwined, making him appear as a demon king. Boom! Lucifer landed, looked down at the ancient city, and said coldly, "Hand over the bloodthirsty demon blade." Unlike the monk Tianxin, Lucifer's approach was much more brutal. He made no attempt to conceal his imposing manner. "How dare you? Do you think a mere Dao saint like you can run wild in my Gaoshan tribe?" A fierce shout rang out, and a Dao saint flew out at lightning speed. "Go back!" Lucifer shouted coldly, his body shrouded in a mixture of black and white energy, and he slammed down with incredible speed. Rumble! The Dao saint let out a long roar, drew his magic weapon, a long sword, and slashed fiercely outwards. A sword aura several miles long collided with Lucifer's black and white energies, unleashing a tremendous impact that stirred up the winds and clouds in the sky, causing a violent storm and torrential rain. Lucifer said coldly, "You alone are no match for me. If you want to destroy this ancient city, then I don't mind." The Dao saint of the Gaoshan tribe was furious. He stared at Lucifer, ready to make a move, but he had to consider the hundreds of thousands of Gaoshan people in this ancient city. "Who exactly are you?" the Taoist saint of the Gaoshan tribe asked angrily. "You're an unimportant person. If you don't want the people in the city to suffer, hand over the bloodthirsty demon blade to me, and I'll leave immediately." Lucifer was a man who had fallen from heaven to hell, not a kind person, and now he was threatening this Dao saint with the people of an entire city. "You are despicable and shameless." The Dao saint of the Gaoshan clan was furious and cursed fiercely. Lucifer didn't care and said, "As long as I can get the bloodthirsty demon blade, I can use any shameless means." "You." The Dao saint of the Gaoshan tribe felt powerless. If he disregarded the people in the city and started a fight, even if he won, the consequences would be severe. "What are you doing with the bloodthirsty demon blade?" asked the Dao saint of the High Mountain clan. "Build a world-class teleportation array. Once the teleportation array is built, I will return the blade of the boundary to you." Lucifer's eyes suddenly flashed, as if he had received some order. He changed his tone and stopped pressuring. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao and Shao Qi watched this scene unfold. With the world-class teleportation array set up, is the blade of boundary break still needed? Xiandao asked Shao Qi. "No need. We only need the boundary-breaking blade to cut through the world. Once the world-class teleportation array is built, we won't need the boundary-breaking blade anymore," Shao Qi replied. Xiandao nodded and immediately informed Lucifer, "Tell them that we are only temporarily borrowing the 7 parts of the blade of the boundary. We will return them to them as soon as we are done." Xiandao didn't want to be a bandit either. If he didn't need the boundary-breaking blade, he wouldn't have come to the Dragon Gate of the High Mountain clan. Upon hearing Lucifer's words, the Dao saint of the Gaoshan tribe was greatly surprised. "You actually want to gather all 7 demonic blades?" Lucifer said, "Of course, a single bloodthirsty demon blade is useless. all 7 demon blades must be gathered and combined into one blade of boundary breaking. But don't worry, my master just informed me that we're only borrowing it for a short while. After we're done, the blade of the boundary will still belong to your High Mountain clan, and you won't lose anything, Lucifer said calmly. The Taoist saint of the Gaoshan tribe had an uncertain expression on his face. He said, "How can I trust you? You have no choice but to trust us now, because we are determined to obtain the blade of the boundary." Lucifer's attitude hardened again. The Tao saint of the Gaoshan tribe said with a grim expression, "If you don't return it to me, I will let you know the wrath of the Gaoshan tribe." "It's a deal. Since my master said he would return it to you, he will. We don't really care for a mere blade of the boundary," Lucifer said confidently. "That's actually the case. If it weren't for the need for the boundary-breaking blade to build the teleportation array, none of us would have wasted our time here." The High Mountain Clan Tao Saint had a very sour expression and stared at Lucifer without saying a word. "I'm leaving now. I still need to continue collecting the other parts of the blade of the boundary." Lucifer turned and left. "Wait a moment, I'll follow you," the High Mountain Clan Tao Saint suddenly said. Lucifer frowned, his aura turning cold, and said, "We're not playing with you. I didn't mean to disturb you. The blade of the boundary has always been a legend of the High Mountain Clan, but no one has ever been able to collect all 7 demonic blades. Now that you've made your move, I want to see what the blade of the boundary looks like," the High Mountain Clan Tao Saint explained. "What's your name?" Lucifer thought for a moment, then asked without refusing. "Lamo," said the Tao Saint of the High Mountain Clan. "Then let's go together. If there's someone you're close to, you can help me persuade them," Lucifer said. "We'll see. If you really have the ability to gather all 7 demonic blades, then I can put in a good word for you." Lamo neither agreed nor refused. Chapter 99 The Gaoshan People's Hopes. Monk Tianxin obtained the blood-melting blade and rushed over. Lucifer obtained the bloodthirsty demon blade and also brought with him a Tao saint from the High Mountain clan. They acted alone because these two were the weakest points among the 7 major branches. One is a temple fanatic abandoned by the times, and the other is a leader who manages hundreds of thousands of people. One-on-one, he can easily defeat either Lucifer or the monk Tianxin. Long Mishu and the others went to the 3rd branch and waited for everyone to reunite here. When monk Tianxin appeared in everyone's sight with the blood-dissolving blade, everyone's spirits lifted. "Is this the blood-melting blade?" Wu Xianer looked curiously at the long sword in the hands of monk Tianxin. A monk holding a knife looks rather strange. Moreover, this blood-dissolving blade is quite peculiar. The blade is carved with countless grooves, and there are barbs on the grooves. Once you cut it down and then pull it out, the opponent's wound will not heal at all, and will bleed uncontrollably until death. "Lucifer hasn't returned yet?" Monk Tianxin asked, casually planting the blood-dissolving blade into the ground. "He's back." Gabriel pointed to the distant sky, where Lucifer and Rameau were arriving. Monk Tianxin looked at the bloodthirsty demon blade in Lucifer's hand and nodded in satisfaction. But then he saw Lamo and frowned, saying, "Why is there an extra Tao saint?" Lucifer landed and said, "This is Lamo, the Tao saint of the High Mountain clan and the master of the bloodthirsty demon blade. He is with us." Lucifer told the monk Tianxin about Xiandao's decision. Monk Tianxin nodded in understanding and said, "In that case, let's go to the 3rd branch." Lamo exclaimed in surprise, "The blood-melting blade? That belonged to that madman. You actually got your hands on it." Monk Tianxin was taken aback, but then he realized that the madman Lamo was talking about was the old man in the temple. "That's how I got it," Monk Tianxin said casually. "It was quite easy. Although the old man fought with him, he was no match for Monk Tianxin at all. He defeated the old man in just 2 simple moves." Lamo looked at Monk Tianxin in surprise. "We also wanted to get our hands on the blood-melting blade in his hands, but even the 3 Tao saints couldn't suppress him, and in the end, nothing came of it." "Now you believe we can gather all 7 demonic blades?" Lucifer asked. Lamo said earnestly, "I was still doubtful before, but now there's still some hope." Alright, let's go to the third branch first and get the demon-slaying blade, then get the killing blade, the soul-slaying blade, the annihilation blade, and the soul-severing blade, Michael said. Long Mishu also said, the third branch is just ahead, with 3 Dao saints waiting for you. Let's focus on intimidation and avoid physical violence if possible, said Monk Tianxin. Looking ahead, Lamo knew this place by heart and said, actually, the 3 Dao saints here are not very brave. If you go in and unleash your full power, you might be able to win without bloodshed. Monk Tianxin's eyes lit up as he looked at Lamo in surprise. It was good to have such an acquaintance. His information was even more accurate than Long Mishu's. They're locals, after all. Boom. When the monk Tianxin unleashed his full power, his domain expanded, and within a radius of 100 miles, the sound of Buddha chanting scriptures could be heard. He walked step by step toward this branch. The 3 Dao saints in this branch immediately realized what was happening and flew out, coldly staring at monk Tianxin. Thump. Lucifer flew in the sky, his body enveloped in a dense black and white aura, his domain fully activated. The combined aura of the two individuals rendered the 3 Dao saints speechless. He swallowed all the harsh words and fighting thoughts. All that remained was despair. 2 Dao saints at the peak of their cultivation have come together. What brings them here? We just want to borrow the demon-slaying blade for a moment, and we'll return it to you immediately afterward, Monk Tianxin said with a smile. What if we don't lend it? A Taoist saint replied. Monk Tianxin didn't speak, but his domain trembled. Boom. A huge crack appeared in the earth. It is bottomless. The 3 Dao saints of the Gaoshan tribe blinked and said decisively, how can we trust you? The blood-melting blade and the bloodthirsty demon blade are already in our hands. We want to collect all 7 demon blades to synthesize the boundary-breaking blade to do something. After we accomplish this, we will return them to you immediately, Monk Tianxin explained in detail. The 7 demonic blades will be combined into one. The 3 Dao saints looked at each other, their thoughts unknown, and they actually agreed. But we want to keep an eye on you, the 3 Dao saints made, just like Lamo. No problem. Monk Tianxin readily agreed. If possible, you could also help us persuade the other branches, since we don't want to cause too much trouble, Monk Tianxin said with satisfaction. We will not help you. The 3 Dao saints refused outright. Monk Tianxin simply shook his head regretfully, without getting angry. He stretched out his hand and said, demon-slaying blade. The 3 Daoist saints looked at each other in bewilderment, and finally threw out the demon-subduing blade. Lucifer immediately put them away, saying, there are 4 more. Lamo stepped forward and said, now I believe you really can collect all 7 demon blades. The 3 Dao saints were taken aback and stared at Lamo. You have betrayed our Gaoshan tribe. One of the Dao saints questioned. I didn't betray you. Like you, I couldn't beat them, so I handed over the bloodthirsty demon blade. I just wanted to see what the blade of the boundary breaker looked like, Ramo said, shaking his head with emotion. The blade of boundary breaker. The 3 Dao saints also reminisced. The glory of the Gaoshan tribe began with the blade of boundary break. The decline of the Gaoshan tribe also began with the blade of the broken boundary. Since the blade of the boundary was split into 7, losing its sharpness as a celestial weapon, the High Mountain clan has disintegrated and gradually declined, reaching its current state. At its peak, the Gaoshan tribe unified the north, echoing the central plains, and had a population of hundreds of millions. However, the Gaoshan people now number only a few million and are still scattered. Although there are many Daoist saints, they are all in charge of their own affairs. Every member of the Gaoshan tribe wanted to collect all 7 demonic blades and combine them into the blade of boundary break. However, such operations were too difficult in the past. There were quite a few Dao saints among the Gaoshan tribe, but none of them could suppress the others. The arrival of Monk Tianxin has brought them hope. After all, Monk Tianxin promised that he would return the blade of the boundary breaker to them once he had used it up. Therefore, Lamo and the 3 Dao saints all wanted to see if Tianxin Monk and his group could gather all 7 demonic blades. Let's go to the 4th branch. Monk Tianxin smiled faintly. With the help of these people, things would be much simpler. As for not being able to collect them all, that depends on whether the Dao Saint of the Gaoshan tribe has anyone capable of fighting. From beginning to end, Monk Tianxin never had a proper, satisfying fight. Will the Gaoshan people give Monk Tianxin this opportunity? Chapter 100. Constructing the Teleportation Array. The fourth branch also has 3 Dao Saints, but they surrendered even faster than the 3 Dao Saints of the third branch. When the Monk Tianxin led Lucifer, Gabriel, and 4 other Daoist saints, including Rama, into this branch. 2 peak Dao Saints, 4 Dao Saints, and 1 combatant who is suspected to be a Dao Saint. How can we fight this? In just a few words, the other party handed over the deadly blade. Then, they also chose to follow Monk Tianxin, just like Lamo, hoping to witness the scene of the 7 demonic blades merging and transforming into the blade of boundary breaking. Seeing this, Monk Tianxin sighed helplessly. It's easy now. But he always felt that the current ease was the calm before the storm. The fifth branch was more stubborn, refusing to hand over the soul-slaying blade even at the cost of their lives. Then, Lucifer charged forward, taking on 3 opponents single-handedly. His demonic blade forced them to constantly dodge, and only when the demonic blade was at his neck did he angrily hand over the soul-slaying blade. Monk Tianxin was not idle either. He suppressed 2 Dao Saints with his domain and watched with a smile as they took out the soul-slaying blade. Then, like Lamo, they followed Monk Tianxin to witness the birth of the boundary-breaking blade. The sixth branch. This is a huge ancient city with a population of 1 million. It is one of the largest ancient cities among the Gaoshan tribe and has 7 Dao Saints, making it the most powerful force. But they are also the family that is least able to withstand a fight. Because if a war breaks out, millions of indigenous people will suffer. Finally, the 7 Daoist saints proposed that Monk Tianxin have a one-on-one consultation. If Monk Tianxin wins, they will hand over the blade of annihilation. Monk Tianxin had no choice but to agree, and then, he simply made one move, 10,000 Buddhas paying homage to the ancestor. The Taoist saint from the Gaoshan tribe was knocked unconscious and had no chance to fight back. This scene also stunned the remaining 6 Dao saints. You're probably about to break through, aren't you? A Dao saint swallowed hard, shocked. Monk Tianxin smiled without saying a word. He was not far from breaking through. Therefore, he was invincible at the Dao Saint realm. The blade of annihilation is yours. I hope you can keep your word and give us the blade of boundary break in the end. Under the reluctant gazes of the 6 Dao Saints, the blade of annihilation was taken away by Monk Tianxin. At this point, they had acquired 6 of the 7 demonic blades. Blood-melting blade, bloodthirsty demon blade, demon-slaying blade, slaughtering blade, soul-slaying blade, annihilation blade. Only 1 soul-severing blade remains. Lamo was dumbfounded. This was too easy. The 7 magic blades that the mountain tribe had tried so hard to gather in the past had now been collected in 6 at once. Although they were able to leverage their momentum. Ultimately, it was Lucifer and the Monk Tianxin who were too powerful. 2 peak Dao Saints working together could easily sweep away a dozen or so ordinary Dao Saints. In the past, the Gaoshan tribes never had such a terrifying Daoist saint. In the end, it's because our Gaoshan tribe lost the cultivation methods after becoming Dao Saints. Although we can cultivate to the Dao Saint level without any mistakes, we've only entered the Dao Saint realm. To go further is extremely difficult, a Dao Saint sighed. The other Taoist saints from the Gaoshan tribes remained silent. Perhaps this time we can succeed. Once the blade of the boundary is fused with our power, and we carefully study and comprehend the subsequent techniques, we will surely be able to restore the glory of the High Mountain clan, a Dao Saint said excitedly. Everyone else was also full of hope. It could be said that Monk Tianxin ignited their hope. Otherwise, given their own strength, they would have been struggling for who knows how long. Ignoring their hopes and excitement, Monk Tianxin looked at Lucifer and said, "Now we only need the last magic blade." We can begin constructing the world-class teleportation array. Long Mishu, Michael, Wu Sienna, the three of you find an open space here and build a world-class teleportation array. Follow the array diagram. I'm going to get the last demonic blade, Lucifer instructed. Long Mishu and the others nodded, their expressions serious. This is the final step. Once this step is successful, the rest becomes much simpler. Let us get you the last magic blade, Ramo said, stepping forward at this moment. As soon as he spoke, the other Dao saints nodded in agreement. Since you promised to return the blade of the boundary to us afterward, then we will retrieve the last demonic blade for you. Consider this a gesture of goodwill from my Gaoshan tribe, to save you the trouble of running around everywhere. Not far from here, there is a boundless expanse of black soil where you can build a world-class teleportation array. We also wish you success. At this moment, even the Taoist saints of the Gaoshan tribes became deeply aware of the greater good. With all 6 demonic blades in Lucifer's hands, it's too late for them to back out. They might as well just take the 7th demonic blade and give it to Lucifer to combine into the blade of boundary breaking. Lucifer looked at Monk Tianxin. Monk Tianxin put his hands together and smiled. Thank you all. In that case, we will await the 7th demonic blade. Now, let's go and build a world-class teleportation array. Lamo nodded and immediately left with 7 or 8 Dao saints, leaving some people to watch over Monk Tianxin while the others went to retrieve the 7th demon blade. At this moment, the hatred between the various branches of the Gaoshan tribe seemed to have faded considerably, and everyone was looking forward to the birth of the boundary-breaking blade. The black soil stretches as far as the eye can see. Under the direct sunlight, the black soil becomes dry and cracked, full of textures, barren of vegetation, and impossible to cultivate. This place is sparsely populated, and even the Gaoshan people are unwilling to live here, because there is no food here. Upon seeing this place, Monk Tianxin was very satisfied and said, "Let's begin constructing a world-class teleportation array." The array diagram was opened, and then the materials were taken out. Following the guidance of the array diagram, the materials were pieced together one by one. This process may take several hours. These are also the most crucial few hours. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank. Seeing this, Xiandao finally breathed a sigh of relief. We've finally reached the last step. We can finally leave the Great Li Earth. Xiandao said with a smile. Xiaoqi added, there's still one last step to take, but it hasn't come easily. No matter how difficult this final step is, we must hold on, Xiandao said, his expression turning cold. The opportunity to cross over into another field is right in front of him, and no matter what, Xiandao will not let anyone ruin it. But what you fear will come to pass. On the black soil, everyone is working hard to build a world-class teleportation array. Suddenly, Lucifer and the Monk Tianxin raised their heads and looked into the distance. Monk Tianxin's face was serious, and his brows were furrowed. What's wrong? Long Mishu asked curiously. Someone's coming. Monk Tianxin put down what he was doing, looked at Long Mishu, and said, "You guys set up the teleportation array here, I'll go stop them." Lucifer also stood up and said coldly, "Kill a few more people, and they'll be afraid."